Welcome to Cashflow Diary, a podcast where we discuss business, money, real estate, and the sharing economy. As a full-time real estate investor, entrepreneur, and all-around problem solver, I have had the privilege of developing individuals into powerful business owners. And today, the focus turns towards you. Our mission is to help you build your real estate empire by leveraging strategies to grow yourself, your mind, and your wallet. Let's get started.
I asked you this on the network, but I've been watching some online content about buying your net worth by buying a already cash flowing business.
Oh, okay.
My question is that something you've done, or is it like, do we need to become ninjas first before we take something like that on?
Got it.
It just seemed really appealing to me.
There should be a lot of appeal to it. It's awesome. It's a great idea. And so here's the, not for lack of trying. So let's be clear. I have, I will, and in no particular order, some of the existing cash flow businesses that I have been either in escrow on or trying to purchase for a an amenities company. I've tried that. I've tried coaching software. Tried real estate evaluation software. One of the yogurt quick serve restaurants. I can't remember the name. El Pollo Loco. There was a gold mine, casino, and some others. Ultimately, here is where the challenge lies in being able to acquire the business or a business is being able to obtain accurate. Oh, laundromats. How did I forget about those? Good God. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Those are at the top of my list.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Then I can connect you to some laundromat owners and they can give you more information if you want, on that. You've got to be able to get the accurate information from the other operator. So that's number one. And this is important because if you don't know what to ask for, they may also not know to give it. It doesn't mean they're trying to be deceptive or anything. I'm not saying they are. I'm saying the amount of additional assistance and team and structure that they have typically when you're trying to buy something like that. So far for me, in every one of those cases, that has been universal across the board, regardless of industry. The only business that had the closest good books and numbers was the casino, and all of the rest were a mess. So you've got to first understand what to ask for, and then be able to do the appropriate due diligence, aka look at the profit and loss balance sheet, statement of cash flows, and figure out, am I getting a good price? Which is actually part of why I had this idea of, hey, let's go through a P&L. Let's look at it. Let's understand it. Let's make your businesses operate better, right? So that this is part of the reason why. And then if you can get past the books, then there's the additional due diligence and market research, which sometimes can be challenging or very expensive to get someone to help you with, because it's not like if you're buying a house, you just go get an inspector, right? It can be, there's lots of those. But when you say to someone, I want to buy a website, well, there's definitely a marketing component I'm concerned about. There's definitely a sales component that I'm concerned about. And there's definitely a fulfillment component I'm concerned about. There are so many that in regardless of the website. So that is one of the other things. Now, I'm not saying this to talk you out of it. I'm just saying this to say, for me and those that I have helped, it has always been easiest for them to get through these stages by building and understanding their own business first. And once you've done that, I personally prefer to build from strength to strength. So I want to get one thing down. And then once I've got that one thing down, then I can begin to think about the next thing, because this thing pretty much can, I don't have to be 100% engaged day to day, so to speak. And therefore, I can begin to apply the resources and benefits in another area. So I'm not against it, obviously. Oh, that's right. There was a chocolate factory in Belize. Sorry. As you're talking, as you're asking me the question, these things they come back. So, and then in some cases, depending on who you are relative to the CEO, it's better for you to, like I'm open to and have done things where I become a part of the company specifically for advice, et cetera, as opposed to, anything else, because that's more of what they need than necessarily money. So it depends. But the answer to your question is yes, I want all of you to be able to do that. Absolutely. I just prefer you do it when, say, that no matter what happens, your existing business is not going to potentially run into an issue. Because trying to put yourself in two places and build two things simultaneously is going to be challenging. That's not to say you can't make an investment, which is one of the many things that we talk about here, is you can make an investment and manage that. Sure, that's fine, because that's not a day-to-day mental activity, if you get my meaning. So that's really what it comes down to. That's why the types of things that I've been introducing you guys to are more along the investment category that you can check in on, as opposed to have to run and manage. But that's not to say you couldn't buy a business. That's not to say that at all.
Yeah, I'm clear. I'd have to get smarter in more than one area.
Well, and you got to be able to speak a lot of languages, yes, in order to be able to. When I say that, I mean, you got to obviously be able to speak banker, but you also be able to speak attorney. You got to be able to speak operations, which shout out to Mary. I am learning, y'all. Anytime you just see Mary, if you just like give her a heart emoji or a hug or anything, and being able to just, understand that there are all of those roles and pieces are things that you must begin to be able to deal with in some way, shape, or form. Because as you continue to go, your org chart, for all intents and purposes, will change and grow. I mean, just took me like 2 years to even understand how to communicate to a CFO. Like the CFO to CEO, communication and relationship is crucial. And then CEO to COO, and then COO to CFO. Those three, it took me a long, I'm still learning. And because it's one thing to get a business started. It's another to keep it financed and growing into the future. Whew, so different. And that's to say nothing of marketing and sales, with sales being by far the most challenging departments on the planet. So it's just that there's a lot to learn. And as you continue to build your short-term rental business, you will learn. You will be forced to learn it, or you'll stay small. That's what will happen. You only have 1, 2, 3, 4 units. But as you get to 10, 15, 20 and more, what will end up happening is that you won't have a choice, because your taxes will be beyond TurboTax and your cousin Vinny. Okay. And your legal Zoom will not be anything you want to touch. You won't even be tempted, because it's like, this it's just not working. So, and through that process, we'll be here to guide you. That's literally what I want for each and every one of you. That's why I'm so jazzed about the roadmap and the new stuff that's coming.
Cool.
Did I over answer?
No, not at all. I'm left thinking, okay, so it seems like the next thing for me to focus on is to grow my business, but that hasn't really changed. More color to, well, why would I do that?
Well, you would do that for the education. Remember, you do your for experience, not profit. Then later you get to profit from your experience. And what I'm saying is there's so much in the process of buying another business that I think you'd be better just doubling or tripling yours. Actually, how many units do you have?
I have 2. So I want to
7 times in yours than you would. And what will happen is that you will run into the roadblocks that the other entrepreneur may or may not have. And that'll tell you what kind of entrepreneur you're dealing with, because that's really important when you're beginning to buy an existing running, going concern from someone else. You need to understand what type of entrepreneur you're dealing with. And yeah, because if you don't, you may not be able to get a feel for the business or its current culture or the database's culture, assuming they have a database. Because, and again, especially if you go brick and mortar, this is the biggest thing. Nobody's got a database. It's like, got it. Oh no, we've got thousands of customers. Great. What's your email list? We don't do email. They just come in. Oh, okay. It's a challenge because it's like, I mean, and I'm like, okay, hold on. You're doing how much revenue and you have no online presence? Okay, got it. So, and that becomes like, all right, there's a big glaring opportunity sign now. And then it becomes all right, so let me see if I can find the right way to finance and manage this without it taking too much time.
Yeah,
I'll be in. And, the hair cutting place. There was what's that called? It's a
Supercut.
Yes, that one. It was over in, Marietta. I was looking. So yes. So it's not for lack of trying. It's maybe I'm too picky. Maybe I have too many questions, but I have not found someone. And it usually comes down to the books are a mess, especially with laundromats. Because at some point you just got to go, well, I guess it's right. Because it's a whole bunch of change and not always automated. And if you're in California, you've got EPA issues. And anyway, it's a whole nother story. But nonetheless, I love that. Again, this type of conversation, what you're talking about when it comes to getting into the next businesses and all that type of stuff, that's a lot of what we do on Fridays with the Next Step group. Because that's where they are, either they're buying or selling property, financing, real estate, seller finance notes, and all that type of stuff. Is typically where we are talking about it. But yeah, I want that for each and every. Are you kidding me? That is why I am doing this.
I got to the point where like both my units are booked like back-to-back weekends. It seems like it's getting easier. Like I'm getting more bookings more frequently.
I would say you're getting familiar with it.
Okay.
But that's good. Oftentimes we use the word hard and easy to mean familiar and unfamiliar more than anything else. So here's the word I actually mean is frequent. Got it. Perfect.
Yeah. Like bookings are getting more frequent.
Yes.
And I think this last one will put me at probably 10 reviews. So the thing that you were pointing to in terms of what's next for me, that I see as next for me to learn, that I could take to that buying a business process would be the financing piece.
Agreed. Yes, exactly. 1 billion%. Being able to, one of the number one skills of any entrepreneur is raising capital, whether that be through coming up with a marketing and the sales plan, whether that become through, to make a new acquisition, going out to the public markets, private markets. Knowing how to do that will always help you regardless of whatever the company is. And this is a very low risk, higher reward way of that very same thing. So yes, you are 1 billion% right. Everyone runs out of their own money all the time. And you've got to figure out how to get access to somebody else's.
The other building that we talked about a few months ago,
yes,
they emailed me again saying, "Hey, do you?"
That's awesome. Then it's time. So that tells you everything you need to know now. Because now, not only that, you've got POC, you've got a little bit more experience under your belt. So now, what you've got to do is leverage your experience and use that same phone call script that I've given to everybody. And it should be relatively simple, especially if they're local, because you can run them to see one of your existing units. It should be relatively simple. And if you follow the slicing pie methodology, you won't run into any trouble whatsoever. It'll be great.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cashflow Diary podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a rating and a review. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, head over to CashFlowDiary.com to sign up for our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Thank you again. Until next time.